This video is brought to you by hoodbeast.com. Design your own custom hoodies. hoodbeast.com.
Yo, what is up guys? It's me, Exactly. When this notification popped up on my phone yesterday, I was about to burst out laughing. This is insane! So the Cleveland Cavaliers are considering voiding the whole Isaiah Thomas Kyrie Irving trade. Yes, you heard that right. The exact same trade that set the NBA world up into flames just a couple of days ago might not even be going down anymore. The Cleveland Cavaliers are considering just calling it off completely waving off the entire trade. Why on earth would they think about doing that, you might be asking, especially when they are seen by many as to be the winners of this trade, since they did get a lot of good stuff in that trade in exchange for Kyrie Irving. Well, it's because the Boston Celtics tried to sell the Cleveland Cavaliers damaged goods. Do you guys remember back to that Cavs vs Celtics series in the Eastern Conference Finals? Do you guys remember what happened in that series? Do you guys remember how Isaiah Thomas didn't play a majority of that series because he was injured? Isaiah Thomas was out with a hip injury, and he has still been battling with that hip injury this entire summer. It came out that he won't need surgery to repair it, but he still hasn't been cleared for basketball activity. And I guess after the trade, he must have had an examination or a physical done by the Cavs. They didn't like what they saw, which led to this, and overall, this is just hilarious, because right after the trade, Danny Ainge came out and said that Isaiah Thomas being hurt did play a part in their decision to trade him, and also that a few of Boston's higher-ups executives had significant concerns about the health of Isaiah Thomas. So if I had to guess how all of this came to be, it started when the trade was being discussed. The Cavs and the Celtics were talking about the trade. The Cavs asked the Celtics about Isaiah Thomas. They knew he was hurt, but just didn't know the extent or how he was doing now. The Celtics probably said, you know, he's still battling it, but he's looking a lot better. You will be fine. And the Cavs were like, all right, sounds good. We got a deal. However, when Isaiah Thomas pulls up to do the physical, they notice him walking with a bit of a limp, and they're like, you know what, this guy ain't looking too hot right now. So they feel like they were lied to, and now they're considering voiding the trade, which is possible because anytime a team trades for a player and that player they traded for isn't able to pass a physical, they have an option to void the trade. This won't be the first time this has ever happened. So the Cavs are considering calling it off, but other reports also say that the Cavs might just want to renegotiate this trade with the Boston Celtics. They'll still take everything they got, but they want more in exchange, specifically more draft picks from the Boston Celtics to sweeten the deal. Because remember, while Isaiah Thomas is a nice addition to the Cavaliers, the Cavs didn't do this trade to land Isaiah Thomas. The thing they wanted the most was that 2018 first-round Brooklyn Nets pick. Isaiah Thomas is about to be an unrestricted free agent, and while he will help the Cavs remain competitive this year, I don't think he's in their long-term plan. That pick though, that's what they really wanted, since they do believe that LeBron James will leave them, and that pick will allow them to get a player where they can build around going forward. So I feel like the Cavs pressuring the Celtics to give up something else in exchange for Kyrie Irving too is the path they are most likely going to take, since if they do call out the trade, they are back to square one with this whole Kyrie Irving thing. And not only do I know that they will not be able to find a better trade than the one the Celtics gave them for Kyrie Irving, but training camp is right around the corner too. And Kyrie Irving already let it be known to the Cleveland Cavaliers that he does not want to be there for training camp. He said he refused to attend the Cleveland Cavaliers training camp. So the Cavs wouldn't have that much time to find another trade partner for Kyrie Irving. So Cleveland is in a pretty rough spot if the Boston Celtics said they won't give up anything else in this trade. But Boston isn't necessarily in the clear either. The last thing, the absolute worst thing that could ever happen to the Boston Celtics would be the Cavs voiding this trade. I mean, you look at it, it's like, sure, they get back everything they traded. They get back the pick, they get back Jay Crowder, but they also get back Isaiah Thomas, and the Boston Celtics cannot, I repeat, cannot let that happen. I don't know if Danny Ainge could come face to face with Isaiah Thomas after what happened. Let's face it, the Boston Celtics did this man dirty. Let's not even pretend that they didn't. After all he did for that team for the past couple of years, they just trade him away like that. We all know they did Isaiah Thomas dirty here. And if the Cavs call out the trade, they had better hop on that phone quick to try and find a new home for Isaiah Thomas, because you cannot bring him to training camp after this went down. And that might sound great. It's like, all right, just trade Isaiah Thomas. He's a great player. Of course, they can get a lot for him. But there's a problem with that. The Boston Celtics wouldn't be able to get much at all. Actually, they wouldn't be able to get anything in exchange for Isaiah Thomas. All of the other teams around the league are looking at this situation. They see what is going on. If the Cavs call up this trade, they will all know this. They will know the reason why is because Isaiah Thomas wasn't in tip-top shape. The Cavs had concerns about his health. And if the Cavs are willing to call off a trade that they were the clear winners of just because of the health of Isaiah Thomas, how highly do you think other teams will value Isaiah Thomas? Not very high at all. And on top of that, that Isaiah Thomas will be an unrestricted free agent after this year, and that lowers his value even lower. So he's going to miss some of the season. If it's like half of the season, he is a half season rental. You know how the Thunder gave the Pacers Oladipo and Sabonis for a 1-year rental of Paul George? Take away half of that. The Celtics would be looking at a return of something like Sabonis for Isaiah Thomas. That would not be a good return at all. And this would no doubt make the Celtics much worse of a team. They were already missing a rebounding and shot blocking big man last year and still missing that going into this year. But now you add on to that they'd be missing a starting point guard too if they are forced to trade Isaiah Thomas, which they would be. They would be forced to use either Terry Rozier or Marcus Smart as their starting point guard. No offense, no disrespect to either of those two guys, but that is obviously a clear downgrade from Isaiah Thomas. So yeah, the last thing the Celtics want is for the Cavaliers to void this trade. And if the Cavs really do threaten to void it because of Isaiah Thomas being hurt, then if you are the Boston Celtics, does that force you to give up more assets, more picks to help sweeten the deal to prevent this from happening? It's something to think about. They're gonna be in a tough corner here. A void is a straight up lose-lose for both teams, but I just feel like it's an even bigger L for the Boston Celtics than it is for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They would have to give away Isaiah Thomas at that point, maybe even Crowder too. I'm sure Jay Crowder feels some way about being traded from the Boston Celtics. Maybe he comes back and demands a trade. And then imagine this, they do get that draft pick back, but Brooklyn might not be as bad as some people think they will be this year. They'll still be a bad team. Don't get me wrong, they will still be a bad team. But maybe instead of their pick landing in the top 3 or top 5, maybe that pick comes in around 7, 8, 9, or maybe even 10. And if that's the case, it's clearly not as valuable as a top 5 or top 3 pick. You're not gonna get any of the best players in the draft if you're picking 7, 8, 9, and 10. The Cavs, on the other hand, still hold an L, but it's just not as big of an L. Sure, they lose out on the best package they will be able to get for Kyrie Irving, but it's not like they won't be able to trade him. They'll still be able to move Kyrie Irving pretty easily. They'll just have to settle for a smaller package. The Cleveland Cavaliers have all the power, since they can call up this trade completely. If they push hard enough and let the Boston Celtics know that they are willing to pull the trigger and call out the trade, then the Celtics might be forced to give up even more assets or picks to the Cleveland Cavaliers. However, if you're the Boston Celtics, since you're about to take such a massive L, either way it seems, whether or not the Cavs void the trade or you are forced to give up even more pick like the Lakers pick, I think the best move for the Boston Celtics would be just to stand firm and hold their ground and hope that the Cavs don't have what it takes to go through with voiding this trade, because they know the Cavs do really want that Brooklyn pick, and if they void the trade, they aren't getting it. So I think that's the card they have to play. They gotta put their foot down and say, no, we gave you what you gave you agreed to it. Going into it, it's not our fault that Isaiah Thomas is hurt, but it is what it is at this point. And then they just pray that the Cavs don't actually void the trade, because if they do, they just took a massive L. Question of the daytime: do you guys think the Cleveland Cavaliers have what it takes to actually call off the trade? Do you think that they will call it off, or do you think the Boston Celtics will give up another pick in order to prevent the Cavs from calling it off? Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. But now let's take a look at what you guys said in yesterday's video. And yesterday, I asked you guys if you think players should be loyal to these teams, even though teams can trade them away in the blink of an eye. And here is what you said. Question of the day: it's okay to leave your team in free agency, but not to request a trade. The players have to remember that they are the ones who signed the contract. They got to remember their team is a business too. But when your contract is up, you can choose where you want to sign next. But if you leave the team that beat you, you belong in the reptile house. question of the day. I think it's fine for players to leave and request trades, but as fans, we have a right to have an opinion, and therefore players shouldn't expect us to support their every move. If a star player wants to leave a team, then a star player is going to leave the team. That's the end of the story, and for us fans, it will suck. I know if a star player left my piss for nothing in free agency, I will be a bit salty for a few days, weeks, or maybe even months, but eventually I get over it because there's nothing we can do. All of that stuff is out of our power, and it's out of the team's power too. A team can trade a player can leave. That's just the bottom line. It's all a business. But that's it for today, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. Don't forget to leave a like if you did, and subscribe for more daily NBA videos. And until tomorrow, keep getting the bucks, Team STC, and I'm out of here. Peace!